Most people are increasingly living in a soup of toxic man-made chemicals that may contribute to cancer, autism, Parkinson's disease, dementia, and autoimmune conditions, in addition to damaging the environment. Many man-made chemicals are also endocrine disruptors that can disrupt hormonal systems, contributing to infertility, abnormal sexual development, thyroid problems, breast cancer, and pregnancy-related disorders. The sort of people you really don't want being exposed to these sort of toxic man-made chemicals are pregnant women and children. And so it was a shock to learn that the herbicide glyphosate is being applied in a nearby children's playground. And this may be happening at a park your children or grandchildren enjoy playing in too. Whilst in Woodside Park in Lymington this summer, I noticed these dead patches around much of the equipment and the borders of the children's playground. These are recognisable as being caused by glyphosate, the main chemical ingredient in the herbicide Roundup, which will destroy all plant matter with the exception of some genetically modified crops. I checked with the grounds team, who confirmed that glyphosate is used in the children's playground because it saves time. When I mentioned that Monsanto, the company behind Roundup, have paid out over $11 billion in lawsuits related to Roundup causing cancer, and that perhaps the children's playground was the one place not to be using it, I was advised to address my concerns to the local council, which in this case was Lymington and Pennington Town Council. On my way home, I passed the local cemetery and noticed that strimmers were being used to cut the grass around the gravestones. This cemetery is managed by New Forest District Council, so I asked them if they used glyphosate, and this is a quote from the reply I received. "Cemeteries are strimmed, mowed and weeded to control greenery and weeds. We strim around all memorials as using glyphosate is inappropriate and disrespectful." In the same town, the cemetery avoids these chemicals out of respect, but the kids' playground gets them. I did address my concerns about glyphosate use in the children's playground to Lymington and Pennington Town Council. I was told it would be discussed by the council at an unspecified point in the future, but that there were a myriad of other matters that also needed the council's consideration, leaving me with the impression that this was not a priority. If you are local and you want to express your concerns, you can find the email addresses to use in the description. Time saved by using chemicals in the kids' playground can go into maintaining patches like these, which to many people look attractive, even though in my eyes they do not resemble any ecosystem in nature, and highlight a typically modern priority for superficial appearance, not a very sensible trade-off in my opinion. And I'll guess these flowers were grown with the help of synthetic chemical fertilizers, which are produced from fossil fuels in chemical discharging factories. New Forest District Council, who avoid using glyphosate in the graveyard, do apply glyphosate to residential streets regularly to control growth around signposts. These are the dead patches on my street. No warning about when this is happening can be given if you want your children to avoid being in recently applied areas, something you won't know as dead patches take a few weeks to appear after spraying. But I was told that, quote, "If you keep your children away from the street furniture, lampposts, signs, etc., and curb edge, then they should be perfectly fine," end quote. Again, the email addresses for anyone local who is concerned are down below. Looks like they missed one. What a huge problem that is causing. And if you're wondering why your local sports field has only grass and nothing else growing on it, like a normal grassy area would, such as dandelions, buttercups, daisies, and so on, maybe it's because, like here in Lymington, those sports fields are regularly sprayed with the selective herbicide depitox that kills everything other than grass. Wouldn't want to risk playing football on daisies after all. The toddlers will just have to take their chances. We also have wildflower patches planted each year in Lymington. The whole area is sprayed with glyphosate several weeks prior to planting to kill everything off first. I wonder if the local bees and pollinators reckon that's a sensible move. Ultimately, of course, everyone just defaults to the government, who tells them that these chemicals, in the amounts that we are exposed to them, are safe. Do they have any data for decades of repeated exposure? No. Do they consider the cocktail effect, the result of the cumulative exposure to all the different chemicals in our environment? Of course not. In the government's eyes, these chemicals are innocent until proven guilty. Given the insidious onset of potentially associated health conditions and the inability to control for all the other variables when assessing long-term safety, guilt can be extremely difficult to prove, something chemical companies are well aware of. Authorities are assuming that the application of herbicides and other pesticides year after year won't have any real cumulative long-term impact on the health of humans or the environment. But I'd prefer not to do the experiment, especially not in children's playgrounds. Let me know what you reckon in the comments, and check out my other videos on endocrine disruptors, glyphosate and insecticides, all linked in the description, as are those emails if you want to request the council do not use chemicals in the playgrounds. I've also linked the Pesticide Action Network website, which has lots more information. Thanks for watching.